Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Introspect with Sharon Mwangi. If you're new here, karibu sana, feel at home. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. So kama kawaida, we usually start with the first two questions of the day. That is, how have I been and what am I grateful for? How have I been? I've been good, I've been okay. I was a bit unwell, but now I am feeling better. And which brings me to my point of what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for the fact that I am no longer unwell, because your last week was quite a mess. I was quite a mess, but yeah, I'm happy that I'm feeling better. I can breathe in and out like a normal human being now. So yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, but not gonna lie, I never felt like recording today. I woke up being so lazy today. Today was one of those days where I just wanted to be as unproductive as possible. My goal today was to spend as much time on Instagram and on social media, just doing some mindless scrolling as possible. But look at me. I decided to get up, get my hair done, and wear something a bit serious, and then record. Yeah, but anyway, I'm glad that I've actually nimejitoa kwa hiyo space and nimejitoa from being unproductive to finally record. So yeah, let's get straight into today's video. So for those of you who have been watching, last week we started a new, should I say mini series or something? Yeah, last week we started tackling a new topic, which is something called attachment styles. And I gave a brief overview of what attachment styles are. So these are basically the kind of attachment that we have towards our caregivers, our guardians, our parents, and how they affect our current adulthood relationships. And we looked at we said that there are 4 types of attachment styles. We said there's anxious attachment, avoidant attachment style, secure attachment style, and disorganized attachment style. And last week's video basically I was talking about the anxious attachment style, and today we're going to talk about the opposite twin of the anxious attachment style, and that is the avoidant attachment style. So yes, please take out your notebooks, your pen, because yes, it's learning time. It's time to learn. And throughout this whole series or mini series, I'm going to be referring to this book, which I also referred to a lot in the last video. This book is called Attached. I can't pronounce the names of the authors because they're a bit kind of complicated, but this particular book basically talks about all these attachment styles, and it's such an eye-opening book. Once I read it, I was like, so I also have red flags. So I could also be toxic, Yeah, I didn't know that. I just thought I was perfect, Yeah, but this book is such a nice book if you're in a space where you're trying to learn a lot about yourself, or you realize that you realize that you always have a specific pattern in relationships, or you've realized you attract a certain kind of person. Like throughout your relationships, you realize that yes, you're dating different people, but they're kind of the same person deep down. Yeah, so this is a book that can really help you unpack that, that can help you really unpack that. So today, like I said, we're going to look at the avoidant attachment style. Now, basically, the avoidant is the complete opposite of the anxious attachment style kind of person that we talked about last week. You remember we said the anxious attachment style kind of person is someone who wants to be around their partner all the time, and they could be very clingy, smothering all over your space and all of that. Now, for the avoidant, they're the complete opposite. They do not like that. They do not like anyone being in their space. They just would much rather, have their own personal space with themselves. And no, I'm not meaning like introverts that they like to stay indoors all the time and they don't want to, socialize with people. No. I mean that when it comes to being in relationships, they feel like they're losing a sense of their independence. So one thing about avoidant people who have the avoidant attachment style is that they really thrive and pride themselves in their sense of independence. If there's someone who can fight tooth and nail to just defend their independence, it's someone with an avoidant attachment style. So these are people who do not like spending a lot of time or too much time with their partners. And it's not even that they hate their partner. No, in as much as sometimes it can actually feel like your partner hates you if you have a partner who has an avoidant attachment style. But it's just that they really pride themselves in their independence and their self-reliance, and like they do not want to feel like they have to depend on anyone, or anyone is making decisions for them, or they have to consider another person when it comes to making decisions. Like the thought of having to think of another person in a way that kind of influences their life is a bit too much for them. So they would much rather just, you know, not be committed for especially long-term commitment. It's kind of the people, these are the people who say things like, I'm not the kind of person who commits. Commitment just wasn't made for me. I think I was born to be a loner. I don't think commitment is my thing. It's nice for other people, but I don't think it works for me. People with the avoidant attachment style really pride themselves in their independence, and they are afraid of commitment a lot because being in a relationship kind of robs you of a part of your independence. There is a level to which you will have to give up your personal space, and you'll have to always consider this other person when you're making decisions and when you're doing stuff. You just can't wake up one day and just decide you want to do things. So that is not a concept that sits well with a lot of people with avoidant attachment style. And so last week we looked at something that we call activating strategies for the anxious attachment. And basically those are thoughts and feelings that cause someone who has an anxious attachment style to feel that need to even draw closer and really cling on and hang on to their partner. So for the avoidant, we're going to look at something we call the deactivating strategies, which is completely now the opposite, which means these are now the strategies or thoughts or feelings that someone with an avoidant attachment style has that makes them feel they need to actually draw farther away from their partner, to like almost literally run away from their partner, or to push their partner away, to make sure that they have set a complete distinct boundary, like a very serious distinct boundary between themselves and their partner. So we're going to look at deactivating strategies, and then we're also going to look at what you can do if you find yourself as someone who probably has an avoidant attachment style. Yeah, so let's get straight into some common deactivating strategies. Sure, like I said, I'm referring to this book. So the first one is saying or thinking, I'm not ready for commitment. But staying together nonetheless, sometimes even for years. Doesn't that sound a bit too familiar? Doesn't that sound a bit too familiar? Yeah, so people with the avoidant attachment style, like you've established that they don't like the commitment part, like the long-term commitment. That's something that really scares them. And these are the kind of people who can keep you in a relationship or in a loop for years. These are the people who date for over 10 years. You're in the same relationship with the same person for 10 years, but who like putting a name to the relationship, or putting like a ring on it, or getting married, or taking your relationship to the next level, whether that is an engagement or marriage or whatever. They're not about to do that. Yeah, that's where they draw the line. That is where they draw the line. They could very easily date you for 20 years and they'll be fine. For them, they'll be very comfortable. They're very okay with the relationship not having a permanent stamp on it. Yeah, so these are the kind of people you'll find. They keep you, especially if it's a guy. For ladies, I think if you're dating a guy who has an avoidant attachment style, you'll notice that probably you're feeling like you don't know the end goal of the relationship. Like you've just been dating. So how long have you been seeing this guy? Over 2 decades now. And like you're not married, and he's not giving you any signs of like, yeah, we can take this to the next level. So that's one. The other one is focusing on small imperfections in your partner, like the way she talks or he talks, the way he dresses or eats, and allowing it to get in the way of your romantic feelings. Now, something about human beings is that we all have some our flaws. Some flaws are big, some flaws are small, some flaws are major, some are minor. So someone with an avoidant attachment style, especially when they start to feel like things are getting a bit too serious and we're getting a bit too close, you know, they will start to look at the imperfections of their partner and highlight those imperfections. And it could be the tiniest of things. Excuse me. It could be like the smallest and the tiniest of things. It could be how you dress, how you talk. It could be the fact that you cut your tomatoes round and they want them in cubes. It could be anything, and they will allow those imperfections, especially even the small imperfections, to get in the way of how they feel about you. So these are people who you realize they just start to complain and get irritated by small things all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden, the way you talk to them is irritating. All of a sudden, you notice they don't want you doing things the way you've always done things. You just realize you're like, wow. They find very small reasons to dismiss their feelings for you and to dismiss whatever emotions, especially the very loving emotions they feel towards you. All right, then we have flirting with others. It's like a hurtful way to introduce insecurity into the relationship. Remember, these are people who do not feel very comfortable with commitment. So you will find that they will start flirting with other people. Yeah, all of a sudden they are very kind people to every beautiful young girl. All of a sudden you find that your girl is very interested in a certain guy and you don't even know why. It's not like you've done anything wrong. Probably things actually had been going very well and then all of a sudden you realize, yeah, kumbe you don't like just me. So they start to flirt with other people. They start to play those flirtatious games. Yeah, they really put their partner in a very tricky position by flirting with other people. And like the book says, this is a way to introduce insecurity in the relationship, especially when the relationship starts to grow roots and like have a foundation. They feel threatened and they want to introduce a sense of instability and insecurity in the relationship so that it does not feel like it's too serious, so that the relationship doesn't feel like it's too serious. Yeah, then the other one is not saying I love you while implying that you have feelings towards the other person. So you'll notice these are people who, when you tell them things like, oh, I love you, they'll be like, okay, that's cool. Or I love you, that's good to know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they are weirded out by, and they are weirded out and threatened by those very big bombastic words or shows of affection. Or like if you go out of your way to do something just to show them how much you love them or how much you care about them, they say something that completely throws you off. You have gone out of your way to buy this lady some amazing flowers, and then they'll be like, but I already got flowers last time from so and so, or something like that. So they will try to dismiss whatever kind gestures or kind words you say towards them. And yeah, because they don't want anything that shows that this relationship is serious. They're trying their very best to still maintain their independence, their self-reliance, and not to be committed to anyone in any way. Yeah, so another one is pulling away when things don't go well. That is, they not calling for several days after an amazing date. Now, this is something that I have experienced personally, and it's something that really made me lose it because I was like, it's not like anything wrong happened. If anything, things went amazing, things were perfect, everything was good. We were basically walking on streets of gold. Okay, things were amazing, things were going great. And then all of a sudden, they go silent. Yeah, they don't talk to you, they don't give you any feedback, they don't even look for you, nothing. They could go for weeks without talking to you. After things have gone well, you could realize that out of nowhere, things were going well, and then out of nowhere, this person just goes MIA. They don't reach out, they don't talk to you, they don't look for you, they are not interested in texting you. Or you even notice that probably the way they text you is kind of dry and empty, and it's just like, hi, okay, sour. Like they don't have the excitement to talk to you anymore. And this is because, like I established, and I think it's something I'm going to repeat over and over again in this video, is that these are people who are really afraid of commitment. So what ends up happening is that any other sense or at the hint of, or even the sniff of commitment, or this is going well, or this is going good, their first instinct is to run away from it, to run away from anything that gives so much hope of intimacy and gives so much hope of authentic love and a true, real relationship. They run away from it. Hence, why they would not call you or they would snob you after things have been going on very well. The other one is forming relationships with an impossible future, such as having a relationship with someone who's married. So for them, because they, like we said again, they do not want to commit into something serious, they are more likely to commit to relationships that don't have a future. They date people who are married, or they're dating somebody else, you know. Yeah, so they're more likely to do that because already that relationship does not have roots for growth. And they're not dating them with hopes that, oh, things will get serious. No, they're actually very okay with things remaining very casual and very unserious, and they'd be okay with that. And then another one is keeping secrets and leaving things foggy to maintain your feeling of independence. So these are people who will realize that they don't open up a lot because they want to still establish a form of autonomy for themselves. Like, when you share a lot with someone, like in a relationship, one of the things that brings two people close and makes and like solidifies a relationship is vulnerability and transparency. Being open about things and sharing secrets and sharing deep things. Those are things that I believe that draw people close together in a relationship. So what happens with the person with an avoidant attachment is that they will purposefully not tell you stuff. They will not be vulnerable with you, they will not open up. Or if you're an avoidant person, you will notice that you avoid having deep conversations. Like when someone starts asking you, so tell me about your childhood, tell me about what you like, how are you like, tell me about your family, tell me about your past, tell me about all of that. I want to know all the juicy details. You're not going to tell them, or you're going to give them like such bogus stories because you do not want the vulnerability. You don't want to be vulnerable with this person. And the last one is like avoiding physical closeness, e.g., not wanting to share the same bed or like walking several strides ahead of your partner. So you really do not want to engage in any kind of physical contact or physical closeness with your partner. You notice all of a sudden they are weirded out by holding your hand, they are weirded out by sitting together, they are weirded out by all those kind of things. Like they really don't want you to show any form of physical touch in any way. So you'll notice that even probably you're walking somewhere in public and they're like, no, don't touch my hand, don't hold me, don't do any of that. So like, no, stop. Yeah, I don't want people to know that we're together. And funny enough, all these things sound a bit too familiar. They hit a bit too familiar. They sound a bit too familiar. Yeah, this is completely unrelated, but I just feel like sharing just in case somebody's in the same state. Yeah, I remember the time uh, I got a guy a gift and he refused it, and I asked him why. And it's not like he didn't like the gift because I was sure it was one of those gifts. I had done my research and I was very, very sure that he liked that gift. He would like that gift, but he said it's because no, I don't want us to look like we're official. Oh my gosh, that's the moment I realized I was in a relationship by myself. I was dating myself. I was dating myself. So that is something that is very common with people. If you find yourself dating someone who has an avoidant attachment style, that you will never ever fully feel that you are, you know, at your fully in, there's a sense of security in the relationship, because there's no sense of security, and that's their aim, to make sure you don't feel secure. You don't put your hopes up in the relationship. So if you find yourself that you are someone who has an avoidant attachment style, don't worry. It does not mean that you'll never ever ever get to experience like a good relationship or a healthy relationship. You can, but with a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of hard work to be able to get to a point where you are able to have and embrace a good relationship. So, what are some of the things that you can do if you find yourself that you have an avoidant attachment style? Number one is to learn to identify your deactivating strategies. Deactivating strategies are just all those examples I've given before. So learn what is that thing that you usually do as a way of self-sabotage, or to sabotage that perfect thing or that good thing. A lot of these deactivating strategies come about when you notice things are good and they're going too well, they're going too good, and you're like, nah, sipendelei venye inaenda, sipendelei venye hii maneno inaendelea, hapana. So you decide to do something or act in a way that now destroys that good thing that you've been building. So number one is to identify your deactivating strategies, and once you've identified them, be very aware. Be very aware, like, I've realized that anytime I get close to someone, my deactivating strategy is this and this and this. And now once you're aware, you will start to feel yourself and even prepare yourself in advance for such kind of things. Because it's better to know that you have a problem than to walk around thinking you're perfected. You really have a big problem. So the first thing is to definitely identify your deactivating strategies. Number two, which is also the same as for the anxious attachment, it is definitely seek help, especially through therapy. Because, like I mentioned, these attachment styles are things that grow from how or develop from how things were for you during your upbringing with your caregiver. So people with an avoidant attachment style didn't start this independent thing when they're adults. No. People with an avoidant attachment style, that is the kind of relationship and that is how they grew up when they were younger. People with an avoidant attachment style, you notice these are people who've had to be independent and have had to fight for themselves a lot growing up. These are probably people who didn't have very physically present parents or emotionally present parents. So they learned how to do things for themselves, especially kids who grew up from very, very young parents, especially parents who probably were not ready to have a kid. Like probably their mom got them really early on, and she probably had to do a lot in order to make ends meet to be able to sustain the child and all of that. So you realize this is the kind of kid who has grown hustling from a very young age. They've learned how to fight for themselves, they've learned how to be independent. So they do not understand how it is now. When I'm an adult, I should now allow someone else into my life. No, they're already used to doing life by themselves. So another thing is for someone who has an avoidant attachment style, is definitely to go for therapy and to embrace the change that comes with going for therapy, and understand that whatever attachment style that you have is not the healthiest, and it's a trauma response to how you grew up. Yeah. And the last thing, just as for the anxious attachment style, is to embrace healthier relationships. Like we mentioned, because they do not like commitment, their first thing is to run away from anything that screams healthy. Anything that looks secure, anything that looks happy, anything that looks glamorous, anything that looks beautiful, anything that shouts commitment and healthy, they run away from it. because of it comes with so much commitment, and they do not want that. So it's to embrace and open yourself up to enjoying a secure, healthy relationship. And trust me, you'll see just how much you're missing out, because it's an amazing experience to love and to be loved. Oh, to be loved and to be loved. To love and to be loved is such a beautiful experience. Yeah. So, yeah, that's just a brief overview of what an avoidant attachment style is all about. So, the introspection question for the day is: am I someone who has an avoidant attachment style, or do I know someone who might be having an avoidant attachment style, or is my partner and probably have an avoidant attachment style? And if you realize you have an avoidant attachment style, what are the things that you can start doing now so that you can be able to enjoy healthier, better relationships? Yeah, so that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and stay tuned for next week's video, because next week we're going to look at now a secure attachment style and how that looks like. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having that conversation with you guys, and have a wonderful week ahead. Bye. Wait, even before I go, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Hey, yeah, please subscribe. Yeah, and please also share this video with someone who you think would benefit from this video, and also follow us on our Instagram platform, that is introspect_ke. And yeah, that's it. Okay, now bye. Bye.